Niue's criminal court has made a ruling on the only case presented before Honourable Judge Craig Coxhead. The case, based on circumstantial evidence, took 3 days before the judge decided on a dismissal after the prosecutor's presentations of witnesses and evidence. Prosecutors' 2 counts of arson against Mr. Ian Hipper was dismissed by Judge Coxhead due to inconsistencies in the evidence. Chief of Police Mark Chenery, who headed the investigations for the prosecutor, said it is not appropriate for the police to make a comment on the case, but to say police fully accept the verdict by the court. Police has also been present in Hikutawaki in the evenings during the trial, and they will continue for a few more days. Unfortunately, we are not able to bring you an extensive coverage of this case due to restrictions ordered by the Niue High Court. Villagers are taking on a proactive approach to address dengue fever prevention on the island. Following the first fatality to the disease, an appeal from the Health Department and government last week was directed at the community for cooperation. Dengue fever is spread by mosquitoes, and the campaign continues to remove mosquito breeding areas to reduce the potential of dengue further spreading. A few villages on the island have opted to clear surrounding bushes within village boundaries, tip over water storage tanks in nearby residences, including those at unoccupied homes. Households also continue to maintain their properties and remove all items that may store water. Hakupu has taken their approach a step further, as the Hakupu Ecclesia have taken stock of concerns from village residents and purchased a mist blower for mosquito spraying rather than relying solely on the Health Department's program. The village will look at getting some formal training before the equipment is utilized. Some communities in New Zealand have also offered assistance in sourcing chemicals for vector spraying and personally sending family members on the island mosquito coils, repellents and more. As of this week, the Health Department says there are over 100 confirmed dengue cases since the outbreak, and hopes that with the concerted effort by the community will hopefully see a reduction of dengue cases. This week, Niue Tourism has advised travellers to take precautionary measures whilst on the island in response to the dengue fever outbreak. Information issued so far is that there are seasonal cases of dengue fever in most of the Pacific Islands, and Niue has recent cases. Niue Tourism has included information in their arrival booklets that has been distributed to accommodations on the island. Advice given recommends use of insect repellent regularly and to ensure that mosquito screens are kept shut to avoid the spread or contraction of the disease. 2 tourists have contracted dengue and were hospitalized this week, but they have been here for a few weeks and are recovering well. Visitors have also been advised that if at any time they feel ill, to report to the Niue Hospital, and if they would like to obtain more information about dengue, they can go to the hospital or the Visitor Information Centre. Vaccination against the parvovirus started this week with Vaea Avasele and Tamakotonga, and today we caught up with the volunteer vet, Debbie Curtin, and Tom Misikia from DAF. According to Dr. Curtin, the program is progressing well.
It's going really well. We started off in Vaea a couple of days ago, and we've seen probably about 100 dogs so far, and we're vaccinating all the dogs under a year of age because they're the most susceptible one to parvovirus, and that's what we're vaccinating for. So it's going really well, yeah.
She said she wants dog owners on the island to be aware of the program and assist with their animals.
It's really helpful if somebody's at home, or even if a neighbour's at home and can come over and just give us a hand to check over and vaccinate the dogs and give us a bit of an indication on how old they are as well. So we're collecting all that information as well, how many dogs there are on the island and how old they are, just so we can work out some statistics and what needs to be done from here for other services besides vaccinations.
From the dogs that you have seen, or the older dogs from at the places that you've been to, has there been any other cases with those older dogs?
It's mainly young dogs, usually dogs under a year, that are most susceptible to it. They don't have any immunity from their mothers, and so that's what the vaccine provides as protection against the parvovirus. So generally it's rarer for the older dogs to get it, and with the blood tests I did, it showed that some of the older dogs have immunity to it and the younger ones don't, so that's why we're focusing on the younger dogs. Yeah.
And then after the vaccination, what do owners need to know? Like the dog might go off their food for a period of time?
Most dogs are unaffected by the vaccine, but just like human vaccines, if you've had a vaccine for tetanus or any other human type disease, then often you feel a little bit quiet and maybe a little bit off your food for 24 hours, but that's really all that owners would notice. Yeah.
The free vaccination is available to all puppies and dogs under 1 year old. Taonganiwe is delighted to be part of a project with historian Margaret Pointer based on researching and publishing Niue's history. Margaret Pointer is no stranger to the island as the author of My Heart Cries a Little, detailing the Niue soldiers' contributions to World War I, and this time round she's on the island for 2 weeks to do more research with the help of Taonganiwe.
Well, I've worked very closely with Moerena Taonganiwe, and I acknowledge her help. The material that you've got here in the archives is the New Zealand administration period. So it's that 1900 through to the 1960s, 1970s that I'm looking at here. There are Niuean people who have been prepared to share stories with me, and coming back to the island and seeing people that I know, and just building up that over the years, having built up that relationship with Niueans, I think has helped. And I just hope that what I write will be of value to Niueans, and that they will see it as worthwhile. And all I can do is look for feedback from them that I'm going in the right direction. What I'm trying to do is make an overall history which is accessible to people. I don't think that much of the history at the moment is easily accessible. If you go into a library in New Zealand, it's very unusual to find any book on Niue. So I'm trying to produce a book which has a history, brings in all the different strands of Niuean history from the time of Cook. So looking at contact history in particular, people coming to Niue, Niueans going to other parts of the world, to Malden Island, to Samoa, Tonga, to Sunday Island, of course going to World War I, then the New Zealand administration of the island. What impact did that have on the island? What was New Zealand? How was New Zealand running the administration? And then the movement through to self-government. And I see a book which is primarily accessible to people. So it's got lots of images. There's going to be up to 150 images.
Margaret admits that 200 years of history is a lot of information to compile, with a lot of the work done on a voluntary basis. The project itself has taken some 10 years to get off the ground, but has progressed a bit further with assistance from a research award.
I know myself what the structure of the book is, and I've got all the main sections I'm dealing with. And I put the whole proposal up late last year to a group in New Zealand, and they gave me a research award for the book because they felt that the structure of the book was good enough to warrant that. So that's what's actually paying for me to be here this time, and it's paying for lots of images to be bought from museums in the UK and Australia and New Zealand, and for reproduction rights to use them. And with that research award that I've got, I've also got the chance of getting a publishing grant. So that's kind of has taken the project a bit further.
Following the success of her first book, this new research will provide valuable information about 200 years of Niue's history that will become accessible not only to Niueans but also to those who would like to find more about Niue. Mrs. Pointer is hoping that the research will be completed and the book published by October 2014 that will also mark 40 years of self-government as a tribute, but this is dependent on a number of factors. Mrs. Pointer will be on the island for another week conducting research. And to end our news bulletin for this evening, the outgoing Chief Executive of the Ministry for Pacific Islands Affairs hopes the ministry is not swallowed up in a bureaucratic shake-up of the public sector in New Zealand. Dr. Colin Tukuitonga has spearheaded initiatives such as Pacific Leadership Series, Early Childhood Education, Pacific Language Framework, easing the cost of remittances and financial literacy programs, to name a few. And he says what the ministry needs is commitment and support to do what it can to address the needs of Pacific people and not any amalgamation with another government department or ministry. Dr. Tukuitonga is likely to return to the World Health Organization after he leaves the ministry. That's our news bulletin for tonight, but don't forget, an invitation comes out to you from the Alofi South Village Council and its people to their annual show date this Saturday. Good evening.